Hello and welcome back to Mark's House and Garden UK. So far today it's been wet and windy and miserable, but the rain has stopped, and in actual fact the sun has just come out, so I'm happy. In fact, I'm happy for two reasons. The first reason is, of course, the break in the weather, but the second reason is a company called Claddist have sent me a product to review, and I'm really excited because this product is going to be perfect for me. It's right up my street. Now, if you follow my channel, you'll know that I do a lot of gardening and a lot of DIY, do it yourself. So if you do gardening or DIY or anything else which involves using your hands in a manual fashion, I think what's in this envelope might be perfect for you too. And the wonderful thing is, for 2 weeks, Claddist have 40% off this. And I will explain how you can get that 40% off in the description box below this video. But first of all, let's get inside this envelope and see what they've sent us. And of course, I already know what's in the envelope because Claddist asked me if I wanted to do a review before they sent them to me. So I shall keep you in suspense no longer and tell you that in here is a pair of cut resistant, thorn resistant, needle resistant gloves. Not only that, these gloves, I think, are really rather beautiful. Now, Claddist on their website describe these gloves, and I've written a list of the things that they've given as their selling points. So I'm going to review these gloves against this list. Right, let's get the gloves out first, and then I'll tell you what these gloves are supposed to do. Now, I have already had a sneaky peek, and I have a large pair here. And as I've already mentioned, they are really rather beautiful. I think I'll bring the camera in close for this next bit. So here is the list of selling points off the Claddist website. And at first glance, none of these seem unreasonable. We are going to be going through them, but if these gloves do everything they are supposed to do, I will be a very happy man. And here are the gloves. Now, let me tell you, just to manage expectations, these are not cheap. I think these are pretty high-end gloves in terms of pricing point. But we have a saying in England, if you buy cheap, you buy twice. So I don't mind paying a little bit more if the gloves do a little bit more. They have a kind of a material backing, and they have this what they call fish skin design, which is anti-slip. And they come with this connection thing which just holds them together as a pair of gloves, but that looks like a sort of a climbing carabiner, doesn't it? I could probably put that to use in other applications in my workshop. I'm going to slip these on now, and then I'm going to read through the list of criteria which I'm going to review these against. Okay, now my first impression is that they are very comfortable. This is a large pair. Of course, you can choose different sizes. They feel great on. They're slightly thicker than normal gardening gloves, so I imagine they'll be quite warm as well. Right, let's have a look at this list of criteria, which I will read to you. And then we're going to do something quite interesting. Okay, Claddist gloves, cut, needle and puncture proof. Now, it says proof on the website. I'm very wary about that word. I prefer the word resistance, but we will see. They are thin and flexible. In fact, they are described as ultra thin. Yes, well, they are quite thin. Slightly thicker than flimsy gloves, but thinner than very thick, heavy duty ones. 10-finger touch screen. So this means that you can use the fingertips to use a device so that you don't have to keep taking them on and off. Breathable and comfortable. I don't know about breathable yet. I've not done a review on that yet, but they certainly are, for now, comfortable. They fit nicely. These are a large. I guess I could probably also get away with a medium. I'm 6 foot tall. I've got quite large hands. There is a size guide on the Claddist website if you're going to buy some. Apparently there is 5 layers of protection in here. I'm not going to list the 5 layers of protection. You can look on the website, but suffice it to say, there's a lot of protection in there to help with the cut, needle and puncture proofing of these gloves. and they are suitable for work, outdoor, survival, and DIY. Now, one of the things it says on the Claddist website is they have a responsible use notice. You're not supposed to do unrealistic tests on these just to see if they are cut proof. So let's now have a look at these gloves in a way which a sensible user would use them. Now in the UK it is hedge trimming time, and I've just been trimming some of my very large hedges in my garden. So I have some trimmings here. So one of these piles is a holly, which has very, very spiky leaves, and the other on my left here is a hawthorn. Now the thorns on that are deadly. Now I would be a fool if I just went straight in and started grabbing it, so I'll start off tentatively and then we'll increase the pressure and see how these gloves perform. So it's going to be holly first. Incidentally, in between takes I have been using the device and I've kept the gloves on, and it does work. You can use a touchscreen device with these. Right, let's have a go on this holly. Again, as I've already said, I'm going to be gentle at first and just see what happens if I just gently hold the holly. Nothing at all. So let's just increase the pressure. And this holly is making no impact on these gloves. Wonderful. Not feeling anything here. And that will be due to those 5 layers. Okay, I'm happy with that on a holly. I think we should go and try it on a thorn to see if these are needle and thorn proof. Now this is a hawthorn, and some of the thorns on this bush are lethal. They're sharper than any needle. So I'm a little bit anxious and a little bit dubious about their claim that these are puncture or needle proof. And I do accept and keep in mind what they said about reasonable use. So I am just very carefully going to see if any of these thorns make any impact on these gloves. And I am being very careful because I don't want any accidents. Right, so far so good. I am surprised that they are not going through. Right, it's time to up the ante. Let's be a bit braver. Let's just go along. This would be, I think, reasonable use if you were trimming your hedge. I'm giving quite a lot of pressure to the spiky bits, which I think under normal circumstances with a normal pair of gloves would go straight through these. Whereas these, it's not making any impact whatsoever. So I'm very happy with the hedge pruning application, the thorns and the holly. Now let's go over to the garage and have a look at some DIY applications. When it comes to DIY, I think I'm more interested in the ability to do things with dexterity and keep the gloves on, like using tools. Now, I know that this is a really rather simplistic test, but bear in mind that I am doing a garage conversion. The building behind me, I am converting into luxury accommodation. So if these work, they will be brilliant for me working through the winter on jobs with these tools. So I have a circular saw and I have a handheld circular saw and I have my little battery powered drill. So I just want to use a couple of these tools just to see if I can keep feeling in dexterity, because it is important when you're using things like this with sharp blades on that you can feel the buttons when you're using them. So right, let's go in first on this circular saw with some wood. So far so good, and let's just cut it a few times. Yep. No problem there whatsoever. The gloves are not getting in the way, they're not hampering me. Now let's see if we can successfully drill a couple of screws into one of these pieces of wood. Yes, I can get a screw out of a box with them on. That's fine. I know I'm labouring the point somewhat, but There's the screw, there's the glove, there's the wood. And in it goes. That's that. Can I use my handheld circular saw? Well, let's just have a look. Yeah, I'm having no trouble with that. Wonderful. I want now to refer back to my review criteria, which is the list of selling points that Gladys gave me on their website. And I just want to have a look at this just to see if I've covered everything and whether I think these gloves match their criteria. And if they do, I can heartily recommend them. And as I've already said, they are slightly more expensive than your average pair of gloves, but they're probably worth it, because if you buy cheap, you buy twice. And in a sense, we are dealing with risky jobs here. Cut needle puncture proof, I would say yes. Thin and flexible, yes. 10-finger touchscreen, yes. Breathable and comfortable, certainly comfortable. Anti-slip, well, it's difficult to know how to test that. I've got a really good grip of that piece of wood and I'm not getting any splinters. Look, feel, style and price point. Yeah, looks great, stylish, feels great. Price point, you be the judge of that. Have a look in the description box. I think they're worth the money. 5 layers of protection. And responsible use notice. Well, I think I've been responsible. I think the things I've done with these are quite reasonable. Nothing unreasonable, certainly. Certainly things that I would do on a day-to-day basis using gloves like this in my garden and DIY tasks. Have a look at the link to the Claddist website. Claddist have supported me, so if we can support them, please do have a look. And don't forget, for the next 2 weeks, there is 40% off these wonderful gardening gloves. Right, see you soon for some more tough glove adventures. Bye for now.